Hi, in this video, I'm going to give you 10 strategies for growing an audience for zero. I use this on Substack and Medium, so it'll work for both. Let's get started. The main problem you'll come across when you're looking at growth tips is that most of the people who give you advice already have an audience. So they import their audience, and that's why you get lots of posters with how I got to 10,000 subscribers on Medium in 3 months. They're mostly designed to sell a $497 course or a $297 course. But the fact remains that these people had an audience to start with. So today I want to show you what to do if you have zero audience right now. Write for one person. Pick one person you know, one imaginary person, and write for them. They are your target audience. If you try and write for everyone, you're not going to appeal to anyone. So you're trying to appeal to one person. There's enough people reading content nowadays that one person will be replicated hundreds of thousands of times. My recommendation would be to publish on Substack first. Write your content, publish it on Substack. That will build you a list on Substack. At a later date, when you have a large list and you don't want to use Substack, you can export the list off of there. But for now, you'll build a free list and you can engage with those people on a daily or regular basis. The whole point of this starting out should be to build a list. When you have a list, let's say you've got 50 people on a list. That is 50 people that can see the content you write tomorrow. If you're not building a list and 50 people read your article today, when you send the next article tomorrow, you're starting from scratch. So build that list so that those people can read more of your content. Medium is brilliant as a discovery engine, not necessarily as a place to grow. So consider using Medium as your discovery engine. What I do is, I will show you this in a moment. I write on Substack, I import into Medium. In fact, let's have a look now. Right, so this is an article I wrote an hour or so ago on Substack. You can see it's published there, and it gives people the opportunity to subscribe. I then imported it into Medium. You can see here I have a link to the article back on Substack. That's for people who aren't members of Medium. So if they want to read it, they can read it for free on Substack. At the end, I have a short CTA for a pay what you want offer. And then there's a link also that is there just for a bit of SEO. Okay, that's originally added by Medium. I just leave it in there. So that is that. Then what I can do is on Substack, I can restack a bit of the article. That's a part of the article. What can you achieve in 30 minutes a day? I think you'd be surprised. Check out today's article if you are curious. Okay, it just gets people in the notes feed to see the article and builds up subscribers. So let's have a look at how this has gone. Okay, so here we go. This is, well, as you can see, we've got 6, 2, 6, 17 subscribers, 5, 5, 6, 3. As you can see, this method brings in subscribers all the time. Publish on Substack, use Medium for discovery. It works. Create a free guide, something very simple, 5-10 pages. You do not need a big ebook. Publish that on Gumroad and then link to it at the end of your articles. That's another way of building your list. You'll build another list on Gumroad for people who download your free report. It's really worth it. I think I've got, in 4 months, I've got 2,500 people on Gumroad as subscribers. Every single post should have a next step. When somebody reads your article, they get to the end, you do not want to end with a full stop. You want to have the next step so that they can continue the journey. Link to your free report, link to your Substack, link to your newsletter, link to Medium, link somewhere. Always send your audience to the next step. As it says at the bottom, a post with no next step is a missed connection. Your job this early on is building connections. Pick one topic, one theme, and stick with it for 90 days. Now, if you're starting off, one of the really good ways of doing it is to talk about what you're doing, why you're doing it, okay, what you're trying to build. Instead of picking a niche, you become the niche. So when somebody comes along in 6 months' time and they're just starting out, they can read your journey. They can see what you've done, that they can see the progress that you have made. So it doesn't matter what niche you're doing. If you document that via your content, it gives people coming up behind you a way to follow along. And people love doing that. It's a really good way of, if you're not sure what to do, start off by doing that. If you can, think of an absolutely genuine question that you can ask. Not something, right? So this is going to be, you have to be very specific here. If you ask a difficult question, okay, people have to think about it and they won't do it. If you ask a very specific but simple question where the answer is already there, okay, people already, without having to think about it, they can answer, then you're going to have a much better response. So if you're saying like, what do you think? People have to think about, what are their views on it? What do I think about this? You don't want that. What's the one thing you're stuck on? Okay. I can't get subscribers. Okay. If someone replies to you, yeah, I'm stuck on, I can't get subscribers, you know that one of your next bits of content should be about how to get subscribers. Okay. It's how you engage with your audience, how you find what your audience is struggling with and actually want. That one person that you're writing for, this is how you reach them. Reply to every reply. Now, I'm going to add a codicil to the end of this. If somebody gives you a genuine reply, okay, even if it's oh, thanks for writing this, just reply, thanks for reading this. Always respond. The only thing that I will say, don't bother with, if somebody uses an obvious AI reply, okay, on Medium, probably 30 to 40% of the replies I get are obviously AI. And I just ignore them. I do not want somebody, uh, I do not want to engage with somebody who can't be bothered to give a reply. To get a reply, they have to feed the article into ChatGPT, ask ChatGPT to come up with a comment. I don't want an audience like that. Okay, so if you're tempted to use AI down below, don't bother. Not interested. If people give you a heartfelt reply and they've put some thought in it, then engage with them. Those are the audience that matter. End of rant. Be specific. Okay, anybody can write a general article. Okay, absolutely anybody, even AI. If you read something that's general, it's not, more than likely not been given enough thought or enough time. Be specific. So I wrote one a few weeks ago, and the reason I wrote it was I was walking down for a coffee in the morning. There was a guy sat on the park bench. He had his dog lead with him, and there was no dog in sight. So I wrote an article about what was going on through that guy's eyes. Okay, there's content everywhere. Your personal experiences are more valuable than generalized stuff. Okay, anybody can be general. Only you can write through your experiences. So if you want to grow, write through your experiences. It doesn't matter how boring it was. Another one. I was sat having a coffee, and the table next to me, the waiter brought out a huge big fry up and a bowl of muesli and fruit. He put the fry up in front of the guy and the muesli and fruit in front of the girl. As he walked away, they swapped it. That is gold content because nobody else could write that. Okay, nobody experienced that. Nobody else can take lessons from stuff like that. The story is what carries every bit of content. The lesson is the reason that you're writing. Hope that makes sense. Finally, stick with it. Give yourself at least 90 days. I would say give yourself 6 months. I've been doing this nearly 22 years now. I still learn stuff pretty much every day. Okay, stick with it. It gets better. You are not going to get traffic on day one. You're not going to get traffic on day 10. You're probably not going to get traffic for the first month. I had 48 reads at the end of my first month on Medium. 48, less than 2 a day. I could have given up at that point. I didn't. I stuck with it. I had one day last year, last August, like 37,000 reads. I went from 48 reads to 37,000 reads. I had one article that made 10 cents back when I started. I had an article that made $1,800 last year. If I'd given up, I would never have had any of that. So stick with it. It builds up over time. That is the important thing. If you enjoyed this video, please check below. You'll find a link to my newsletter. You'll find a link to my free system that I use. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe. I'm going to start publishing more of these over the coming months. Thanks a lot, guys.